Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Russell here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Ledger Nano S, a cryptocurrency hardware wallet that dramatically increases the security of any crypto asset you may hold. Now, the Nano S is one of two cryptocurrency hardware wallets that Ledger sells, and there are also other competitors such as Trezor who actually produce cryptocurrency hardware wallets, but no matter which company you go with, I cannot stress enough how important it is to have a cold storage wallet or a hardware wallet to protect your assets. So in today's video, we're going to be unboxing this Ledger Nano S, and we're going to walk through the process on how you would actually get this set up and how easy that process is. And we're also going to talk about some of the newest features that are coming to the Ledger line of products that are going to increase the utility of these Ledger products dramatically. And finally, you might know that there's also the Ledger Nano X, the big brother to the Ledger Nano S. So we're going to talk a little bit about which one you should go with for your individual situation. Of course, the Nano S is a little bit cheaper than the Nano X. So if you're not going to use some of the features on the Nano X, you might be better to go with the cheaper option. And I want to emphasize that this video isn't sponsored by Ledger. I bought both of these products with my own money, so the thoughts and opinions I'll share with you are my own from my actual experience using the products. However, if you decide that you do want to buy a Ledger product, you can use the link in the description where you'll be able to actually support the channel a little bit because I earn a few bucks if you decide to buy through that link. But now let's actually take a look at what comes inside the box for the Ledger Nano S. One important thing to note is that you want to make sure that your Ledger, when you receive it, does have this sort of plastic shrink wrap on it, because otherwise it could have been opened previously and tampered with. So you want to obviously make sure that that's not the case for your Ledger. But now let's get this shrink wrap off, and once I do, we'll be able to take a look at what's inside. Okay, so it's a nice box that sort of slides off like this, and when you open it up, that's a nice presentation there of the Ledger Nano S. Definitely a smaller form factor than the Ledger Nano X. As a comparison here, this is the Ledger Nano X, a little bit larger, as you can obviously see, and it looks like this one may not have the same sort of switchblade functionality that the Ledger Nano X does, but let's take a closer look. I'll slide this out here. Okay, it does have that. Okay, it does have that same functionality, but obviously a lot smaller in size. You could probably actually fit this on a keychain, maybe even lock it through that loop somehow. And it looks like the way that you're going to actually interact with the Ledger is even a little bit different. You'll notice on the Ledger Nano X, when you unfold it, you'll be able to actually navigate using these two sort of circles. Yeah, you can sort of see that circle on the black there and one on the silver. This is how you sort of navigate around the user interface. But with the Ledger Nano S, it looks like that's going to be a little bit different with these sort of buttons that are featured on the bottom side of it, right here on the top of the Ledger. We'll set that aside for a second and take a look at what else we're going to find in the box. All right, a little bit of security for the actual product, and then we have this nice little welcome guide. Likely inside of this is going to be some of the instructions for actually getting this set up. Yeah, it's nicely wrapped in here, and it actually comes with a number of different sheets here. Now, this is something that's going to be rather important to hold on to, actually, these three cards here, because this is where you're going to write down your seed phrase. Now, this is very important because if you ever lose your Ledger, you're actually able to restore what's on the Ledger and sort of like refresh onto a new Ledger what was previously on your old one, as long as you have your seed phrase for setting that up. So that's a rather important thing to do. So we're going to set those aside for when we're setting it up, and we're actually going to write down our seed phrase and store these in some secret offline locations in case you were ever to lose your Ledger. Oh, and okay, it looks like I was actually right here. They actually provide things for it to sort of be a keychain. You can see the key ring that it comes with here, as well as a little bit of what looks like a lanyard here. So you should be able to actually carry this around with you wherever you go if that's what you want to do. And then of course they provide it looks like a USB-B to standard USB that you'll be able to use when you're actually connecting your Ledger to either your laptop or your computer when you're wanting to verify transactions with your Ledger as you use and send and receive and potentially do other functions with your cryptocurrency. You guys get a nice close-up of my beard, but here's another little bit of a size comparison here of the two Ledgers. The top one obviously being the Nano S and the bottom one being the Ledger Nano X. And when these are unfolded, you can also compare that size as well. Again, the Ledger Nano S coming in quite a lot smaller, a little bit more portable than the Ledger Nano X. To start the setup process for your Ledger Nano S, all you have to do is take the USB that was inside of the box and connect it to your Ledger Nano S, and then connect the other end to whatever computer or laptop you want to use for the setup. Now, once I connected my Ledger Nano S to the computer, it gave me a prompt to go to ledger.com/start, and that led me to this landing page. And the first step that it's saying to do is to download the Ledger Live app, and that provides a lot of the functionality of these Ledger line of products. Now, while the Ledger Live app is downloading, you can get your Ledger Nano S set up and at least get through a few of those steps. The first one is it's going to ask you whether or not you're setting up a new device or if you want to recover a lost or stolen device. Obviously, if it's your first time setting this up, you're going to choose the new device option. And once you go through that, you can actually go through the process of writing down and actually finding out what your secret recovery phrase is, otherwise known as your seed phrase. Now, you're going to be navigating through the Ledger Nano S with only these top two buttons, selecting either left, pressing the left button if you want to go left, and the right button if you want to go right on the menus, and selecting by clicking both buttons at the same time. This is when you're going to be using the card that they gave you to write down your 24-word secret recovery phrase. You're going to want to write this down multiple times and keep them in multiple safe locations that only you know about, because with this seed phrase, anyone could have access to all of your digital assets, so you're going to want to keep that very, very, very private. Also, around this time, you'll be setting up your PIN on your Ledger device, and that's going to be what you enter every single time you plug in your Ledger to a computer in order to allow you to actually verify transactions that could be included on the blockchain. Once you've got your seed phrase and your PIN all set up on your Ledger Nano S, you can open up your Ledger Live account, connect your Ledger Nano S to your computer, and you'll be prompted with this sort of screen asking you to allow Ledger Manager, so you can double click to confirm that as well, and then it'll actually give you access, once it loads here, to make various selections and to control your Ledger Live from the obviously a lot more user-friendly interface that is your computer. Now, if that didn't initially happen for you, you might need to click down here to the Manager tab on the Ledger Live app, but from here, this is where you're going to be able to install the different apps on the Ledger device in order to allow you to actually start using it. Now, inside the Ledger ecosystem, when they reference apps that you can install onto your device, that essentially just means the different blockchains that your Ledger will be able to support your use of. It's important to note that this doesn't directly translate to the amount of assets that you can hold, just the amount of blockchains that you can use. For instance, on Bitcoin, the only asset that you can transact is essentially Bitcoin. But in different blockchains that allow for many assets to be run on top of it, such as Ethereum or the Binance Smart Chain, well, you're only going to need to install those apps in order to have access to all of the, say, ERC20 tokens that are included on Ethereum. This sort of points out one of the biggest differences between the Ledger Nano S and the Ledger Nano X, and that's in the storage size, or the amount of apps, or remember, layer 1 blockchains that you will have access to actually use with your Ledger device. On the Ledger Nano S, they only have 144 kilobytes of capacity for these different apps, and they say that that can range from 3 to 6 different layer 1 blockchains that you're actually able to access. You'll see here that Ledger is pretty agnostic when it comes to which cryptocurrency you are able to use. You can see you can choose from a large list of cryptocurrencies, some more valid and more legit than the other ones, but I'll leave that up to you to determine. For us, we're going to install the apps for Bitcoin and for Ethereum, two of obviously the most dominant cryptocurrencies in the space. And you can see here already that even with just installing the Bitcoin app and the Ethereum app, well, we don't have a lot of space. I'll move myself to the middle here so you can see we'd likely be able to install one more blockchain or one more layer 0 that we're actually able to access here on our Ledger Nano S. But for most people, that might not be a problem, especially if you're someone like me who tends to be more into the Ethereum ecosystem and all of the sort of functionality and all of the different tokens that opens doors to. Well, you're not going to need a different app for every single token that you want to hold. You'll just be able to use your Ethereum app on your Ledger Nano S. But if you do see a world where you'd want to hold any assets that are on different chains, like from any of the ones listed here, and you could see yourself potentially using more than 3 of these, I would recommend going with the Ledger Nano S, because that's going to provide you the ability in the storage space to have access to essentially most of the ones you could want, right? You can have 100 plus on the Ledger Nano S, whereas it's 3 to 6 on the Ledger, or rather the Ledger Nano X is the larger one, Ledger Nano S is 3 to 6. So X, you can get up to 100 200 different layer 1 blockchains, and a Ledger Nano S, it's definitely limited, only 3 to 6. Once you've installed those apps onto your Ledger Nano S or X at this point, you can go to accounts here, and it'll actually it'll be blank for you if this is your first one. I already have the Ledger Nano X, so that's why you're seeing 2 of the accounts that I have on the Ledger Nano S there, but we can also add an account here, and then this is actually going to be stored now on my Ledger Nano S, and you can choose which asset you want that to be. For me, I'm going to make a second Ethereum address, and we're going to click continue, and we're going to sort of work through this process in opening up this Ethereum account. It's going to ask you to verify that transaction here on your Ledger Nano S, again navigating with the 2 buttons, and you'll eventually be able to work through this and actually open up that new Ethereum account or address. It'll also allow you to name your account. For me, to make things easier, because I do have multiple Ethereum accounts, I'm going to call this one Ledger Nano S, just so I can distinguish between them very easily. I'll click add account, and there you go, we're done. We've got a secondary, for me, Ethereum address, and this is on the Ledger Nano S, as you can see the label here. From here, I can click it and then get a little bit more information on what's actually held inside of this address. Obviously, because this is a fresh Ethereum address, we're not going to have any assets on it right now, but Ledger has upgraded its Ledger Live software here that you can do most of the transacting that you need to right inside of the app. Within the Ledger Live app, you can click buy, and through a connection with Coinify, you're able to actually buy these crypto assets, although you may want to compare the fees and the structures to some of your other favorite cryptocurrency brokerages. Down there in the description, there are some links to mine where you can actually get bonuses when you sign up if you haven't already chosen your favorite. Now, I'm not going to do this on screen because I don't want to share my wallet address, but if you are choosing to buy crypto assets on a centralized exchange, something like Binance, or if you're in Canada, Newton, or one of these other exchanges that you may be familiar with, you're going to click this receive button, and it's going to allow you to share and copy and paste the address for this new account that you've created, so that when your external cryptocurrency brokerages asks, hey, where should we send these assets, you can copy and paste your personal address from your ledger onto that cryptocurrency exchange and allow for those assets to be transferred smoothly. Once you've actually transferred your assets over to your Ledger device, you can take advantage of some of the new features that have been included in Ledger Live over the past number of months. You can click discover and see many of the options here that allow you to stake some assets, like so you can stake your ETH with Lido. There are certain decentralized exchanges such as Paraswap that can allow you to sort of transfer and trade assets autonomously. And you can see that there's a range of other decentralized finance or DeFi apps that are going to be coming to the Ledger Live software very soon, such as Aave. It's sort of the bank of the DeFi world. Compound allows you to lend and borrow, as well as many other apps that seem to be coming down the pipeline for Ledger Live. It seems like they're shifting their focus to sort of be a dashboard for the decentralized finance world. Another interesting thing to note is that if you are familiar with the very popular wallet MetaMask, I've actually made a video here on my channel if you haven't checked it out yet, but if you're using MetaMask and you're familiar with it, you can actually use your Ledger device to secure your use of the MetaMask wallet, essentially using the MetaMask as the interface, while you only use your Ledger to verify the transactions whenever you need to by using these buttons and entering your PIN. But now there are a couple final notes here as I compare the Ledger Nano S to the Ledger Nano X and which one you should buy. Obviously, for some people, cost is going to be something that factors in here. The Ledger Nano S is quite a bit more affordable at $89 Canadian. I'm from Canada, so the prices are showing up in Canadian, while the Ledger Nano X is at that $159 price point. For most people who are largely going to hold some of the larger assets and the more secure ones, certainly in terms of popularity, the Ledger Nano S might be enough for you. If I were personally, given what I know about the cryptocurrency space, going to buy one of these, I'd probably only buy the Ledger Nano S because I'm somewhat of an Ethereum maxi, and in order to access the entire Ethereum ecosystem, all you need is to install the one app on the Ledger Nano S. But if you see yourself needing to, again, use more cryptocurrencies on more different blockchains on different apps on the Ledger Live application, well then it might make sense to go with the Ledger Nano X, because as soon as you get past 3, it gets a little bit tight for space when it comes to installing the apps. The other thing you might want to consider is the build quality. You can certainly tell that the Ledger Nano X is the more premium product. The materials feel a little bit nicer, the joints feel a little bit tighter, and the buttons are a little bit more satisfying to click, and as well the screen is a lot more, of a higher quality than the Ledger Nano X. But when it comes to the actual functionality of both of these devices, they're not all that different, apart from the fact that the Ledger Nano X actually has some Bluetooth capability. So if that's something that you want to use to sort of sync it up even with your mobile phone, you could also consider getting the Ledger Nano X. Hopefully this video has helped you out in making that purchasing decision and deciding which one is best for you. Again, if this video helped you make your decision, make sure to use the link in the description where you can be directed directly to the Ledger website and you can buy this for yourself while supporting this channel at the very same time. If you have any questions about these, I'll do my best to answer them down there in the comment section, so make sure to leave me a comment there. I read every single one. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And with all of that said, I hope this video has helped you out at least a little bit, and I'll see you next time.